It is that time again. Oh my goodness, aren't we excited? Okay. Welcome to the December 4th meeting of the Rotary Club of Livermore. And let's see here. Mr. Coyle, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Very good. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Up next, let's do a song. Ladies and gentlemen, you're on. Here we go.
There was a lot of discussion about what song we were supposed to or could do appropriate to the subject this week. And we couldn't come up with anything, but we came up with a nice patriotic song.
Here we go.
God bless America.
Ready?
Bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her. With the night we're alive. To the grave, to the ocean, wide with home. God, so sweet home. My home, sweet home. Lead Army.
All right. Up next, our thought for the day, as our thoughtful person makes their way to the microphone.
Well, I'm short. What can I say? Well, good afternoon, Rotarians, friends, guests. I have a very long thought for the day, but it's perfect for Rotary. We may not have it all together, but together we have it all.
That was nice. That was sort of the Gettysburg Address of long quotes, but impactful. All righty. We don't do this all by ourselves. We're a volunteer organization that relies on lots and lots of you to do all of the jobs. So, Spur reporter Will, where are you, Will? Did you actually come? There you are, right in the center of the room, getting every detail down. Spur publishers Kathy Coyle, photographer Herb, getting my best side or whatever you can, because, sow's ear, silk purse, stuff like that. All right. Audio visuals, Don Wentz. Our greeter was Paul. How many got greeted by Paul? I did. Paul did a pretty good job. Yeah. Welcome to Rotary. Okay. Our Zoom host is Jeff Youngsma. Jeff, you're here? You're there? Wow. That's super cool. All right. And on the second page, Sergeants at Arms, Trex and Bob, we have half an arm. Well, one arm? Yeah. We have one sergeant at arm. Is it still a sergeant at arms if there's one of you? Yeah, probably, because I guess the arms are plural. Very good. Our web overlord, Kathy Coyle. I like that. Public outreach is Kelly Bowers, our videographer. Yes. Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll put that, as they say, in the hopper. Okay. Up next, introductions of visiting Rotarians and guests. And on Zoom, do we have either, neither? Neither. Okay, we have nobody on Zoom who's not one of us. Very good. And in the room, okay, if you are a visiting Rotarian, could you please stand up? Oh, my goodness, the man that needs no introduction. Could somebody please introduce that man?
Yes, I would love to. I would like to introduce Bob.
Tucknott.
I just don't want to say it wrong. Tucknott.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Coming from the Rotary Club of
Oh,
Dublin.
Dublin.
In the classification of?
Electrical contractor?
Oh,
Electrical
I didn't
contractor?
know that. Wait, I
You
got
didn't know
it.
that? Electrical.
Okay, there we go.
Just the electrical. You're
Next time.
covered.
So he does need an introduction.
All right. Okay. And so remember, we say, and please welcome
And
Bob.
please Welcome.
Hi, Bob.
Wow.
All right. We will get you
Okay.
guys trained yet. Well done now. Okay. Any other visiting Rotarians? No. Any guests? Any guests? We do have a couple of guests. All right. You're up first, sir. Did you bring someone?
I
to
did
join
bring
us?
someone.
Who did you
President
bring?
Mark, fellow Rotarians, it's my very special privilege to have with me my very special lady, Carol Joyner.
Very good. And she has to stand up. Welcome. And on the far side of the room is Kelly. Are you going to introduce someone?
Thank you, Mr. President and fellow Rotarians. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce or reintroduce, because she's presented before, Melanie Sadik. She is the Executive Director for the Valley Humane Society, and she also is a member of our Three Valleys Community Foundation Advisory Board
Ooh, welcome.
and part of the John Sensiba fan club.
Yes. Now, Don doesn't get introduced now. He'll get introduced in a moment. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, that's it for our visitors. Up next, birthdays and anniversaries, Dave and Trudy. You are up. Looks like there's a lot of good stuff. There's unwrapping, furious unwrapping going on. They could have thought of that before, but we'll see. Oh, good. Very good.
He's working, I'm talking. Hi. Okay, we're going to do the birthdays and anniversaries for December. And we are going to do both songs in between the birthdays and the anniversaries just to save some time. So I will start with birthdays. And if you're here, please raise your hand so Dave can get you a treat. Clark Streeter, December 2nd. Nope. Okay. Niall, December 7th. Dennis O'Brien, December 13th. You can give it to someone else. Okay, next is Don Wentz, December 15th. Woo woo. Will Bateson, December 17th. Don Sweeney, December 19th. Wow. I'm just going to do this really fast and see how far Dave can get around the room. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. Al Frank, December 22nd. Okay. Christian Chakuma, December 25th. Ooh, birthday, baby. Norma Foss, December 26th. Not here. And Marianne Rosa, December 30th. Wow, treats. Okay. We'll do the song now is because I'm making Dave really work. Okay, go, you guys.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, fellow Rotarians. Happy birthday to you.
All right, now we're gonna do anniversaries and we're gonna do a song first. I said that.
1, 2, 3, 4. Sing along.
Ooh, I need your love, babe. Yes, you know it's true. Oh, you need my love, babe, just like I need you. Hold me, love me, hold me, love me. Ain't got nothing but love, babe. 8 days a week, 8 days a week.
Okay, anniversaries. I just noticed that there are 3 people on here and I only have 2, so, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so the first one's Bob Bishop. Okay, that works really well. 16 years on December 27th. Okay, and the next one is, oh, Dave Barnes. 47 years on December 17th, and the next one's Trudy Barnes. Congratulations, everyone.
Was that a setup or what? Nicely done. Wow. Yeah, it is all in suspense, as they say. Okay. And now, those of you who've noticed the screen know what we're going to do next. What are we going to do, Don? Okay, I will take all of that. You do need a mic.
Here we go. So we're going to give a red badge to Paul today, and that will be awarded by Paul's sponsor, Mark Roberts. But one of the things we do now is give a bottle of wine to a sponsor when a new member is presented with a.
Thank you.
And we also have the sponsor. we also have the sponsor make the presentation of the Rotary costume. So here it is.
Yes. So I will tell you a little bit about, until they did the bottle of wine, I really wasn't interested in bringing new members into the club. But now that's changed everything for me. It really has. It is, yes, exactly. It is my honor to introduce and welcome Paul to the club. I've known Paul now for a really long time, more than 20 years. And Paul has held a number of positions at the city, up to and including, he is now the assistant city manager, the second in command of the municipal corporation. Woo! So the cool thing about assistant city manager is it is almost all of the headaches of being the city manager without the problem of the pay. It's a really nice step down in compensation. So that's fantastic. Plus, it's all of the specific tasks that the city manager decides are of special importance and they don't want to do. So that's the definition of what an assistant city manager is. And of course, he runs the municipal corporation anytime the big boss is sort of outside the corporate boundaries. So Paul, come on up here. And so we have several, not parting gifts, but joining gifts for you. And so the first of these is an actual red badge. And so you'll see that a number of us have different colored badges on, and most commonly a blue badge. And once you go through a number of fairly easy to do things, which essentially tells you, hey, this is what Rotary is, and explores a little bit of those things, you'll get your blue badge. So we are looking forward to doing that. Now, a Rotary hat, which you can proudly wear at any of our community events or volunteer events. And of course, or all the time, yes. Wearing it at home, just in case you're wondering, gosh, should I go to the Rotary meeting this week? And the answer is always yes. Okay. We have a Rotary shirt, which is super cool, has our logo on it. And just so that you can be safe when you're out there on the street directing traffic or leading a parade or any other activity. Yes. So let's and so here we go. Woo! Congratulations. Thank you. Paul's going to be a fantastic add to the club. And you've already started the process. I saw somebody just earlier sort of saying, I have a problem that somebody from the city can fix. And so they were already talking to Paul today. Ms. Kelly, you had a question, comment, or other things? Does somebody have a microphone that they could wander over and give to Miss? No, you can't do that because we have rules around here. They may be arbitrary, but we enforce them.
It's a little bit of a confession. We have a plot at this table.
Oh.
Glenn has said that he wants to get some of those accoutrements. So he's going to quit Rotary and rejoin. And then I want the bottle of wine. So I'm going to sponsor him.
Seems like we need a parliamentarian to plug that hole in the system. If you ever want to know how to get around a rule, there we go. All right, up next. I think we've got announcements, do we not? Yes, we do. We've got announcements. So the first at the top of the announcement is, so let's actually back up for a quick second before we get to John Shirley's stuff here. But our first announcement is, it is that time of year. For those of you who pay your Rotary dues in 2 installments, nope, let's back up, go the other way. One more. There we go. All right. Phew. All right. So if you pay your Rotary dues in 2 installments, installment number 2 is due. So our treasurer will be wanting to make sure that you've got those dollars and cents in. So thank you very much for that. Okay, now, John Shirley. So you'll remember in October, we had a presentation about essentially John Shirley. John Shirley is a former mayor, former council member, a veterinarian, a veteran, and a wonderful person and a friend to many of us. And you'll remember that the organization, our Rotary Club, started a fund to essentially fund a scholarship. But that fund was a sinking fund, and our effort essentially starting this fall was to turn that into a permanent scholarship. So that permanent scholarship needs to be funded at $100,000 level with the Pedrosi Foundation. Pedrosi invests those funds, earns a minimum of 4%, and funds a $4,000 scholarship every year. And so you learned a lot about that on October 16th. If you want to see more about that, you can go back and take a look at that particular meeting. But the reason that we're announcing it today is we partnered with the Community Health and Education Fund, or CHEF, here in Livermore, and they are matching our fundraising at a 1 for $2 rate. So for every dollar we give, they get 50 cents. And we are one of their designated charities for December. So the portal is now open. Doesn't that sound ominous? But it's a good thing. So for those of you who are paying by credit card who made a commitment, we had a number of you, like Splend, for example, who committed to give to the effort to endow John Shirley's scholarship. And if you are paying with a credit card, essentially use that link. By the end of the day, you'll have an email in your inbox, which will also have a link where you can essentially click right on that and go in, use your credit card, you're in, you're out, you're done. It's fantastic. Now, let's say that you were giving a little bit more, and perhaps you're giving it from another source, like a donor-designated fund or your retirement account or some other form of funds where you have to cut a check, okay? So we can accommodate you too. Chef doesn't work so well using that, so what we're going to do is run those funds through our local Rotarian Foundation of Livermore. So for many of you, you've probably already got your donor-designated fund set up to give to that, so you won't have to get that reapproved. And simply put in the memo line, John Shirley Scholarship, or words to that effect, any words that Irv, who is a very bright man, could figure out that you meant it to go into the John Shirley Scholarship. He will then bundle those and send them over to Chef, and they still will get matched up to our maximum of $20,000 that they will max for. And so they'll give up to $10,000 if we raise $20,000. So all of you who made commitments back in October, now's the time to fulfill those commitments. We're super excited about your willingness to do that. And I am hoping here by the end of the year that we will have this all wrapped up. The Chef 2-for-1 matching ends on December 31st. Don't wait till the last minute. Please don't, because we're going to try and coordinate on the RFL side to maximize essentially all of those funds that get matched. Any questions about this? And everything I just said is going to be in an email before the end of the day. So for those of you who are visual learners rather than auditory learners, we're taking care of you. Okay. Yes, sir. Chef is a 501c3. Yes. So the answer to your question is yes, we've got you covered, because some of you were so incredibly efficient. In fact, a half dozen of you already did that. We have set that up in its own designated account, and those funds will be transferred within this 12/1 to 12/31 timeframe over to Chef, which is allowed, and they will match it. So we are good to go. You don't have to do anything. Thank you for your prompt response. Yes, sir. Chef is it's the Community Health and Education Foundation. They exist to augment the efforts of other nonprofits. The other thing that they do is they have bingo. That's their fundraiser that they do. They do it all the time. They're very excited about that. But their mission in life is to help local nonprofits extend their reach by doing matches to their fundraising efforts. So for example, the Morning Club for the Kevin Drake Scholarship used them. Another of other local nonprofits have used them. If you want to go onto their website and take a look, you can see the list of folks that they have given a hand. So we're super excited about that. All righty, moving on. Up next, the Rotary Foundation of Livermore Children's Party, Kathy Coyle. Get that microphone from that other man there. Turned on. It is not.
That's one way to keep me quiet.
Mm,
Okay. Okay. So first of all, I came in here just before lunch and I was kind of distraught because I had been notified this morning that the room we had was too small to accommodate all the kids that were invited to the party.
Our event was just too big.
Our event is so big. And so I'm thinking, well, obvious question is there any more space? And Mark went and found out, yes, there was. And thanks to Jeff, president of the RFL, we now have double the space, and that means more capacity for the kids because, you know, when you have, you've invited 150 plus children and their families and you have room for 100, that doesn't work very well. So I am extremely grateful.
So when is this? Is this
for
this
Mark
Saturday?
doing that? So give him a round of applause and Jeff for helping me out. I have to give you credit, Mark, because I was pretty upset. You can ask Lynn. Anyway, the party is this Saturday. So this was done pretty quick today. This Saturday, my team is going to show up at about 11:30 and we're going to get the food table set up and all of that stuff. And then
Are you still looking for volunteers?
yeah, well, I think the rest of the committees are for helping set up and maybe with gift bags and stuff like that, putting them out. I'm not sure what their plan is, but I have about 5 people that I think have signed up to help me, and I think that's enough.
Very good.
But you can always drop into the party. That's what's really nice about it, seeing the kids.
That party's right here. in
It's
Cre-
right here in the
Crestapaka
south
South.
ballroom.
So the big room, the
The big
southern
room.
half of it. So you're just 100 feet from it.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
So thank you, Mark, and thank you, Jeff, again, because now I'm happy.
Yay. Up next. Coming soon is the 70th annual crab feed. Bob, you want to do just a minute or two on our efforts there?
Okay. So several of you asked me why, is this on? It is. Several of you asked you why I have this thing on my nose. And when I was a young man, I loved the movie Cat Ballou. So this is the pre-setup to get my silver nose. Okay, you can see on the screen. Not so well. Who did this? Okay, so mistake on the screen. It's actually our 69th, not the 70th. Next. So last year we made 33,000. This year, I'm hoping we make over 35,000. And I've got the individual items listed there, and all of those take help from you guys. So think about it, what you're going to help with, but everybody in the club needs to help with the crab feed, or we're not going to get to our goal of 35,000. And the people that are already helping are on the next slide, I think. There they are. And I'm not going to go through those. We'll put those in the spur, but those folks are meeting, next slide, oh no. So here's what we really need besides volunteer. We need big ticket live auction items. Those are items that go for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That's where we make our big money. That's like a condo in the mountains or Hawaii or Palm Springs, that kind of thing. And then we need high-end silent auction items. That's like $100 gift certificate to Uncle U's. I know that's one of TJ's favorites. And we also need the volunteers and those that work with the team leads. And they'll be probably asking you for some help. So next meeting, or really our first full meeting is going to be tomorrow night at my house. I'll send out an email reminding you of that. And my address is there. If you haven't been there before, you can look it up.
2273 St. Charles Court. All right. Thank you, sir. Up next. All right. The beard contest. We are down to our last 2 weeks here. We are in the critical time. So just to give you a quick update, you'll remember that I made on your behalf a commitment to raise $5,000. Right now, we are at $4,312.90 because people are adding in the credit card fees to be nice, if you're wondering why we have an odd number. So thank you, all of you who did that. That helps the cause there a little bit. So you can do the quick math. We're just shy of $700 from our goal here, and we're looking to get to our goal. Now, the other thing I wanted to inform you is out of the dozens and dozens of groups participating, we're number 2, okay, which is a pretty nice place to be, but it's not number 1. And currently the number 1 folks are at $5,451.81. So you can see we're sort of still only $1,100 off the leader there. So if somebody's thinking, gosh, I have just a little less change that I'd like to have someone else have, that would be a cool thing. So we're getting very, very close. If you haven't given, or if you gave and you said, you know, I could give a little more, or if you're a brand new member who maybe got inducted today and sort of said, I mean, I'm not naming any names, but didn't have a chance to give. I mean, this is a wonderful opportunity. So, all right, there we go. And so we'll send that information out one last time here shortly as well. So thank you all for your support. We are going to get to our goal. I am just absolutely certain. You get to see me one more time with this beard on, and then we're done. All right. And next week, we've got a club assembly. Yes, one in the back. They are a 501c3 and you go in through their portal. So they are an absolute full-on 501c3. So use their portal. You absolutely can do that. Giving money by check is hard for them because they're actually set up to be littler. So isn't that an interesting issue? But we have not set up a separate account to give through the foundation on it. All right. Next week, we've got a club assembly. And this week, Jay, are you going to introduce John? All right, so we have an amazing speaker and an amazing cause. So let's give Jay a minute to come up here. Don't trip over anything. We're a target-rich environment there as far as tripping hazards. Wow. Okay. All right, Jay, you're up. Tell us who John is and what we're going to hear about.
I'll just push all this junk that belongs to the president out of the way. Yeah. I'm very pleased to introduce my good friend, John Sensiba. I met John through the agency of 2 people in this room, some mix I quite remember of Monya Lane and Kathy Young, when we were mucking about various worthy charitable activities, and really found him a guy I liked. I gave him my standard warning, which is if he didn't send a pretty good bio, I would just make one up. And he knows what that would mean. So he sent a good bio. Now it had to be improved some, so I've improved it a little bit, okay? I mean, because I've known him long enough to know things he sometimes doesn't tell everybody. But I will read you John's, and then I'll embellish it a little. John's an Iowa native. Hey, came to California as a teenager and graduated from San Jose State. He's the managing partner for Sensiba LLP, a top 100 CPA firm that has 450 employees in 42 states. It used to be called Sensiba San Felipe, and I kept looking for where the hell is San Felipe. Being a Texan, I didn't know. And I finally discovered there's no place called San Felipe. It was not Sensiba San Felipe, it was John Sensiba. He's been married to Mariana for 37 years. They have 3 children and are expecting their first grandchild in April of next year. Ooh, big deal. He's a longtime member of the Rotary Club of Pleasanton and has lived in the Tri-Valley for 31 years. He's currently the board chair of Stanford Healthcare Tri-Valley and has been in that role for 15 years. He's currently the board chair of the Three Valleys Community Foundation. He's clearly a sucker. And he's on the executive board of Innovation Tri-Valley Leadership. He's also chairing a board that I made him do, as he put it down. I was the original chairman of the board of the oversight group for the settlement of the lawsuit against UC. And when I began planning to bring in younger members and refresh the membership of the board, the attorneys figured out that I was also planning on refreshing the attorneys. So after a certain amount of acrimony, I left and John took my place. He's involved in his church and he serves on the pastoral council. Now, what he didn't tell you, and I pull this out of him because we occasionally have a quiet consulting session in his executive conference room, the bar at the Rose Hotel in Pleasanton. It's a great place to work out things. And I discovered that John is an avid and committed motorcycle rider. And what you need to know is that on the weekends, John leads a motorcycle gang of accountants and CPAs in leather and chains who have green eye shades on their helmets. And they descend on small towns in the Sierras with their holsters of 7H pencils and do undesired surprise audits of businesses and farmers and simple people like marijuana growers in the mountains. So there's a little bit about all these guys if you just hang around and watch them. So my good friend, John Sensiba.
Well, after he said that they were looking for younger members and he meant me, he could say anything he wanted. I was happy to be considered to be younger. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit about this organization today. Thank you for advancing, Don. Yep, I appreciate that. How many of you are members of the 100 Club? About half dozen in the room. Yeah, thank you for your membership. Bob serves on the board with me. This is the first time I've ever been to a Rotary meeting, and the Pledge of Allegiance was recited, and the group was so big and so loud that I didn't hear Bob. That's the first time I've ever not heard Bob. So it says a lot about your group that you've got this many people here. And based on the first half hour and Mark's hosting, I can see why so many people show up. It's a great club. The last time I was here, people were bringing their own sandwiches or they were getting in on the DoorDash order. It was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and or I guess it wasn't at the beginning, but it was right when we could gather again. And you guys came up with creative ways to get people in the room. I was here that time talking about Three Valleys. Luckily, Kelly Bowers was in the audience and was transitioning out of her previous role and said, hey, I might be interested in doing that. And she's as many of you probably know, she's our CEO, and just what a blessing to have her, not only in that role for the organization, but just to become a better friend. So very lucky to have Kelly. I'm sitting at a table with people who have different badges. Paul, welcome to Rotary. Nice to meet you today, and nice to bring you into Rotary. And Jay, who has the past president badge on. I've always wanted to be a past president, but they told me I had to be president first, and I wasn't willing to pay that price. I think having to have kids before you have grandkids is a heck of a price to pay as well. But Mark, thanks for allowing me to be here today. I appreciate it. So the Martin C. Kaufman 100 Club of Alameda County, kind of a long name. It is the legal name, and I'll try and stay on the mic, sorry. It is the legal name of the 501c3 that we operate. Martin, oh, it's right here on the screen too. It is a 501c3 providing immediate financial support to spouses of police officers and firefighters that are killed in the line of duty in Alameda County. The club also provides college scholarships for the children of the police officers and firefighters killed in the line of duty in Alameda County. It was founded in 1974 by Martin Kaufman. I think we're probably closer to 900 members right now. This is on the website. That number fluctuates. We swell up when there's a tragic event in the community. People tend to be aware of us and tend to join. And then folks kind of drop off. It's just normal human behavior. When something's urgent, you feel compelled to act. If there's nothing in front of you, then maybe you let that go by the wayside for a while. The original idea for 100 Clubs was launched in 1950 when a concerned citizen in Detroit, Michigan decided to do something to help the expectant wife of a young police officer that had been killed in the line of duty. This citizen, William Packer, wrote to 100 of his friends asking them to donate funds for the family, and thus the name of the club. In 1952, that club was incorporated as the first 100 Club. There are now more than 100 active clubs throughout the nation. Just a coincidence that the names that's the number. And these include several clubs in the Bay Area, the San Mateo Club, the Contra Costa Club we've been affiliated with and helped them with some of the things that they're doing. And think about this. If you wanted to get a hold of 100 Rotarians, you'd go on to Club Runner or whatever you guys use for your website, and you'd send an email and say, hey, there's somebody in the community that needs help. He wrote 100 letters. I mean, that is a commitment. And I'm sure you've got people like this in your community. Many of you knew Ken Mercer, who was very involved in the Pleasanton community. Ken was famous for calling up and saying, hey, John, I need $100. Okay. And he would never tell me why. He just needed $100. But then you would see in the Pleasanton Weekly or in the Independent that some family had been the victim of some kind of discrimination, and that somebody slashed their tires and wrote something bad on their garage door. And they didn't know where it came from. It came from Ken. But their garage door would be painted. Ken was a house painter. You may not have known that later in life. And he would arrange through Big O, through Dave Cherry, who was a great Rotarian in Livermore. Dave passed away, to get them tires, and they never knew where it came from. And we never knew where our money was going. Ken just saw a need in the community and filled it. And I always think of Ken when I think of William Packer, somebody who was selfless and thinking about others in need. The next slide, I believe, is going to be about a 7-minute video. So I apologize, it's kind of long, but it does a much better job than I could ever do explaining what this means to the families of fallen first responders in Alameda County. So I'm going to enlist Don's help to launch it. Thank you, Don.
Here in Hayward's Lone Tree Cemetery, there's a very special monument called the Memorial Wall. The 100 Club of Alameda County erected it in 2008 to honor local firefighters and law enforcement officers who died protecting those of us who live and work here. These fallen heroes are the ones who ran toward danger when the rest of us ran away or sought protection. They saved lives while losing theirs. The deaths of these brave men and women leave a huge void in the lives of those who knew and loved them, especially their families. Their spouses and their children often feel isolated and alone. Suddenly, a future that was so full of promise and joy and hope is now one of loss, worry, and uncertainty. To help meet the increasing needs of survivors, the 100 Club of Alameda County has expanded its membership and benefits. Within 48 hours after the death of an officer or a firefighter, the 100 Club steps in and gives the surviving spouse immediate financial help. And the club continues to remember them with a holiday check for the rest of their lives, as well as a check for their children until they reach the age of 26. But perhaps the most lasting impact of what the 100 Club does is to ensure that the educational dreams these fallen heroes had for their children are realized. The club pays tuition costs for college and technical schools, as well as for other education-related expenses. Some of those children now would like to tell you just how much that support has meant to them.
From day one, I remember when they came to the house and dropped off the check. And I was in a complete fog. I was just having the support for myself, my girls, and our family. It's just put us at ease with college and the checks that they've given us to just ease the pain of day-to-day life.
Immediately following the tragedy of John's loss, they were there with us.
My husband, Richard Sanders, was a lieutenant for the Oakland Fire Department for 25 years. And 21 years ago, he passed away on the job. And coming home from the hospital and opening up the door, you wonder, what am I going to do? And within several days, the 100 Club stepped in with a generous check for me and the family. And I was able to pay bills and get the ball rolling on things.
They've been able to, over the years, provide us initially with savings bond and financial support for his education, which has been tremendous because the tech school, the trade school that he decided to go to is not something that was covered under the state education bill.
I plan transferring to a four-year state school to receive my bachelor's in criminal justice, and hopefully in the following years apply for the CHP Academy.
I don't have to worry about any college debt moving forward, which is really nice. I never had to worry about finances in college, which was a huge relief.
Well, she has her eyes on Stanford. So I'm hoping the 100 Club will be there for a lot. This is a private university.
I want to go to Stanford because my dad always took me to games there and he always thought it was a great school. And he said, if you ever went there, you'd have a great 4 years or 5 years of your life. And I've always wanted to go there since then.
It was our last sporting event. We went to many sporting events together. And it was Stanford versus Notre Dame at Stanford Stadium.
It was super hot and it was December and we were t-shirts till the fourth quarter. And I was sitting on my dad's shoulders.
And it was just a picture perfect night. Summer sitting on daddy's shoulders because he was daddy's little girl.
And Neil was a senior in high school, just turned 18 and wondered, Mom, what are we going to do? And I told him with the 100 Club, they support the family members and will send the children to any college they want to go to. And they did. They supported Neil. And I'm proud to say that he did join the Oakland Fire Department 16 years ago. So I'm proud of him. And I know Rich is proud of him making all these accomplishments and following in his footsteps.
Each year, the 100 Club of Alameda County has been very generous at Christmas time. So I've used those checks to get us both to a kids camp that's run by Concerns of Police Survivors. And it's in the summertime and it's at a camp in Wisconsin. And all the children that go are the surviving children of fallen law enforcement officers. It's hard going to school and nobody really understands when the holidays come up or when a father-daughter dance comes up or when Father's Day comes around. And when she's at this camp, everybody at that camp gets it.
The generosity during the holidays just reminds us that we aren't forgotten and there are a lot of people thinking about us. And we so truly appreciate that after what's going to be 20 years this coming December. So the 100 Club financial support is incredible and so grateful for that.
I can't thank them enough for giving me the opportunity to go to school and to be debt-free. The 100 Club has given me the amazing opportunity to be where I'm at. They have done just an embracing warm, you feel as a family, even though the circumstances that brought you together were very difficult. And it's just, the people are just incredibly warm.
I want to thank the 100 Club for the generosity. No questions asked. They're just there to support these families. And I appreciate the help through all these years.
A retired officer's touching poem inscribed here on the memorial wall says, "I never dreamed it would be me. And with a heavy heart and bended knee, I ask for all here from the past. Dear God, let my name be the last." But unfortunately, we know there will be more names added here, more families grieving, having to carry on without their loved ones. If you'd like to honor fallen officers and firefighters and help their spouses and children, please consider making a tax-deductible donation. You can join or donate directly by going to 100clubalamedacounty.org. Thank you. Even a little helps a lot.
Thank you, Don. She cuts out a big part of that poem, so I thought I'd let you see it while I share with you a little bit more about what we do for the families. within 24 hours, usually. One of them said it was a couple of days, but sometimes logistics work the way they work. We give the family a check. You'll never see it on our website because we don't want people to know that they suddenly came into some money, because the world is funny that way. Currently, they get a check for $50,000 within 24 hours. If you've been through a union situation where you've got to come and claim wages, you've got to pay for a funeral, that stuff takes a long time, and families have urgent needs. So the first $50,000 gets to them usually within 24 hours. The kids get their college education and sometimes post bachelor education paid for. And at Christmas time, the surviving spouse gets $1,000 check, and the kids up till the age of 26, they get a $500 check at Christmas time. And you can see that one of the families used that to go to a camp. So it feels really good. We're not very out there in terms of an organization, because that's really about the families. It's not about the volunteers, but we do like to be able to spread the word a little bit, because it feels good to be able to do that kind of thing, and other people want to be involved. So we do on occasion come speak, and I have to apologize for the quality of the PowerPoint. When I was asked to come speak, I think it was Pat who said, "Oh, send us your PowerPoint." Oh, we didn't have one. So the day before Thanksgiving, I was trying to figure out how to use PowerPoint, and thank God for Don who helped me play the video, because otherwise it was going to be me the whole time up here. When you are the president of the club, which I am for a 2-year period, my first year is up this month, and I'll have one more year. You're the one who goes and talks to the family, and you can see my PowerPoint skills. Jordan passed away April 20th of this year. It should say 2024 after that. He was injured on duty in Oakland, Oakland police officer, and was in a coma for almost 6 years. He was a single guy, so there's no kids to put through school, but his parents did need to take care of him. And so I gave his dad a check on behalf of the club shortly after Jordan passed away, so they could celebrate him. And they did some things that they wanted to do on his behalf and in his name, and they were able to do that with the funding. On average, since the club was formed in 1974, we lose typically one first responder a year. You'll remember a few years ago that we lost 4 in one day in Oakland. On average, it's been one per year. And the wall that you saw in the video now has room for only one more name. Unfortunately, we hope no more names ever go up there, but unfortunately, we know that's not probably very likely because of the nature of the work that those first responders do. So we're currently fabricating and installing 2 new walls. The Matos family from Matos Monuments in Hayward donates all the labor, and we pay for the materials, but they've been fantastic benefactors of the 100 Club. And only 2 slides left, and the next one says questions. So I know what it's like. I'll never be Rotary president, but I know Rotary presidents like to end on time. It makes them popular. So with the question we ask ourselves, we say that we provide the benefit within 24 hours, and obviously we do that, and we pay for a college education, but we get asked for lots of other things, and we always try and say, what would the parent, if they were still alive and they had the means, what would they want to do? And that's really our guiding principle. It is, those of you who've sat on nonprofit boards, which is likely everybody in the room here, you know that you've got a mission, and you need to stay in that mission, and you have defined things that you're supposed to do, and you stay in that. So our mission really is to take care of these families. Even though we talk about the death benefit and the Christmas gift and the tuition, if there's other things that are needed and we have the means, we ask the question, what would their parent do if they were here and they had the ability to help? Sometimes what their parent would do is say, if you don't get your grades up, we're not paying for next semester in college. And so we've had some of those conversations. You saw, many of you may have known Judge Goodman, Larry Goodman. His wife Patty is our family liaison, and she essentially is the 100 Club. I know Bob would agree with me. She takes care of those families. She connects with them and stays in contact with them, and she's like a favored aunt to those families. She is the connection to the 100 Club for them. My wife and I have been members lifetime members since 2000. Our oldest was 11 and the middle child was 9 when September 11th happened. And no surprise to us that my son is a paramedic firefighter. My daughter's Alameda County Sheriff Deputy. Youngest one, the black sheep, works for Meta. We don't talk about that. Well, my daughter Melanie and her husband live, I don't know, maybe 3 blocks from here. So they're Livermore residents and serve Alameda County. So we're very proud of the fact that they saw what we were doing in terms of our involvement in our philanthropy. They were very impacted by September 11th and both became first responders. So a special place in my heart. And that is it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just to make a comment, Pat McMiniman isn't here today because he's off on the East Coast at, the inevitable niece or nephew's wedding and couldn't be here. So he asked me to sub and introduce John. When John explained this to me, I went to the website and to my embarrassment, read it only casually and just joined as a member. I explained it to Pat and Pat went right over me and joined as a lifetime member. So John, I will do that before the end of the year.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate
And I
that.
encourage those of you in the room to consider this.
Thank you, Jay. And I apologize. You're not supposed to be asking for money in Rotary. That was a video that had that at the end, but yeah. All right.
John, I have a question. I know I'm handling the mic too, but I thought I'd ask my question, John. This was just a really wonderful, eye-opening presentation that you gave today. And my question is, what's the app? Do you support these families forever? Forever.
Forever.
So from beginning to whenever they don't need you, or?
Yeah. The kids stop getting the Christmas gift when they turned after the year that they turn 26. The surviving spouse gets it for the rest of their life. We've had students, I think we have like 11 kids right now in college. We've had students that are children of first responders who have gotten their undergraduate degree and come back to us 20 years later and say, I want to go to nursing school. Will the 100 Club help me? And you go back to that question. If their parent could and they were here, they would. So they're in our care for as long as they choose to be in our care. But it is, it's a wonderful thing for those families to not have to worry about that.
That's a wonderful question to ask yourself. I think says it all. So anybody else back here have a question?
Okay, Melanie, you were supposed to ask me a question.
Splend has his hand up.
Oh, hey, Splend. I didn't see you back there.
Okay.
You get fined for coming in late, Splend?
Yeah, he's a past president. I don't know that he's exempt, but he shouldn't be.
All right, so I'm going to ask a question. So my father-in-law was a member for many years, and he believed that having the frame on the license plate excluded him from getting a ticket.
Yeah.
Can you confirm or deny that?
I will
Have everybody here sign up for it.
I will deny that. My daughter's a deputy sheriff. Her husband is a lieutenant in the sheriff's office, and I guarantee you they would love to see me speeding.
Yeah, I had one quick question. Okay, so it's Alameda Club. You do all law enforcement and fire in all of Alameda County?
All of Alameda County.
Okay.
Yep, including CHP, Regional Park District, anybody who's a first responder in Alameda County.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Foundation?
Yeah, there are some overlaps, so we fill in the gaps. The state of California also has a program to provide scholarships for the children of first responders, but it has limits. Like, for instance, the young lady that wanted to go to Stanford, they'll only pay for it if it's a state school, and they'll only pay so much. So we make them apply for that. If they're eligible for it, we expect them to apply for it and receive that. And then we'll cover things that it doesn't cover, like housing and books and other things that they might need.
All
Hi,
right,
Melanie.
John, I had to come up with something. So, I've spent years working, I'm animal welfare now, but years in highway safety and very near and dear supporting this mission. But you are a motorcyclist.
Correct.
which we've had a lot of conversations about from a traffic safety perspective. Would you like to tell everyone how you stay safe?
Yeah, I I did 4,000 miles in July in the Western states with some friends. Yeah, it's hard to see Yellowstone from a plane, Mark. And you know, it's wind therapy. For those of you who ride, you know. And for those of you who do anything that serves almost as if it's meditation for you, it's something that really takes you out of your everyday. I love to ride, but I do ride as if everybody else is intentionally trying to kill me. And so I try not to give them the opportunity. I don't ride a lot in the Bay Area. A little bit I do, but mostly it's 2-lane country roads. So if I went to Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Idaho this summer, didn't spend a lot of time on Highway 80 because the charm of Highway 80 is lost on me. So we find a lot of byways to go when they're not very heavily traveled. Lolo Pass from Montana into Kooskia, Idaho. If you've not been on Lolo Pass, if you're a motorcyclist, you got to do it. But even if you're just in a car, that is so beautiful.
I stayed safe on my motorcycle by selling my motorcycle.
I've been riding with a group of guys, not accountants. One of them, a former Navy SEAL, who was born on the 4th of July, believe it or not. He turned 84 on the 4th of July. He did all 4,000 miles with us on his BMW touring bike. So I figure I got a few years left. Yeah.
What kind of bike do you ride?
It depends on where I'm going. I have a little bit of an addiction, but on those trips, I ride, the most recent motorcycle that I ride is a 2022 Harley Davidson Street Glide.
There you go.
Yeah.
My guy right there.
What do you ride? Yep. That's a fun bike. My wife enjoys being on the back. We went to the famous Sturgis Rally in South Dakota a few years ago. She flew to Rapid City. I told her, you can pack whatever you can get on the motorcycle, and I've taken up most of the space because I rode out there. So I picked her up in Rapid City. We did Mount Rushmore and Deadwood and Spearfish Canyon, the Black Hills and all that stuff. We went into the rally, bought lunch and a t-shirt and got the heck out because that's not my scene. But she enjoys it, and that makes it easier for me. Like on a Sunday, we'll go to Half Moon Bay for lunch or something, and she enjoys being on the back. Yes.
I'm gonna ask you a non-motorcycle question.
Thank you.
I would actually like to ask you about the 100 Club. And when you find out that there is a line of duty death, are you working more, getting information from the city or the agency, or are you working with either their union or association groups, or how? Walk us through that process
yeah, good question.
There's a line of duty death, KTVU News report something.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you guys are on deck.
Yeah. Each one of us who've been in this role has different networks. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office and whoever the sitting sheriff is at the time is very aware of us. That wall that you saw is at Lone Tree Cemetery in Hayward. We do a ceremony every year, and whoever the president of the club is speaks along with the sheriff. So law enforcement and fire are very aware of us. If we don't reach out to them first, they'll reach out to us. For instance, my daughter and my son-in-law are very connected. When there's something and somebody gets hurt, I typically go get a phone call. Hey, Dad, I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but and then you know, I do have all the pulse point and all those other things that I pay attention to, but it's in a variety of different ways. But we are very tuned in. So when I'm out of town, I travel sometimes on a different modes of transportation. I won't mention it. Then I've got to make sure somebody else is around in case something happens while I'm gone. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a couple things left to do. So John, one of the things we do for speakers is we give you the choice of a bottle of red wine, white wine, or local olive oil. Which of those three would you like?
Red wine would be fantastic.
Very good.
That one not yours?
That one was not. That was a prop. Oh, because I was president and I didn't get one.
Oh.
But we wanted to show that everyone else would get one. Actually, I will get one eventually. It just didn't come today. So thank you, John. And then don't go. We got one more thing.
So because you are a 501c3 and you were nice enough to come to present to us, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Livermore, we're going to be sending a donation to the 100 Club for a total of $500. So thank you very much.
Yes.
And our final act of business here is to name a number. So, sir, what number would that be? 5, 3, 6, 9. A winner up front, sir. All right. Thank you very much. If you haven't given to the wide variety of causes that we've heard about today, please do so. Thank you. And we'll see you next week.